Welcome into the Hard Count presented by Culver's. If you caught Andy and Ari at the draft, phenomenal stuff. Great guest, Matthew Golden on the ones and twos with them. A great conversation there, but we're glad to have you, man. It is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Last one on the face of the planet. Feel lucky, privileged, and grateful to be able to talk college football with living with y'all. We got a ton to get into, as we always do, but let's start here, man. The rivalry between Michigan and Ohio State has been nothing short of sensational over the course of the last few years. Now, maybe you feel that way more so if you're a Michigan fan than an Ohio State fan, but I'm just telling y'all, man, right now, where we are in college football, I think this rivalry is entering into a golden era. Because think about it this way. The last couple of years, you got a Michigan national championship. Last season, you got an Ohio State national championship. And when you look to the future in college football, both these teams, without question, from what I can gather, are going to be among the elites, among the tier ones. And we'll unpack that right now. But before we do, make sure you're subscribed. This show is college football year round. This is the only sport we talk about on this show. It's college football, nothing but college football. I appreciate college basketball. I appreciate the NFL. We did an NFL mock draft, so tangentially some NFL talk there. But this is our baby now. I know it's y'all's baby, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a minute of what we have going on right here on the On3 YouTube channel. Also follow on the social, Instagram, Twitter, at JDPiquel. But when you talk about what it's going to take to win, to be elite in college football, as this thing, hurdles toward the new era, the 12-team playoff, the portal, rev sharing, all that, you have an interview with these teams to say, are you going to be elite or not? Kind of think job interview. To me, both Michigan and Ohio State, on paper, pass all the tests. You got an elite quarterback? Yep. Resources? Check. Good GM, more important than it used to be. I mean, more important in the future than it's going to be right now to have a good GM. Both squads have a good GM. Your head coach, feel pretty good about both. Now, Ohio State fans will be quick to push back on Sherrone Moore. He hasn't done anything, hasn't done this, doesn't that. He's beat your coach twice. Ryan Day's got a national title to his name. Undoubtedly one of the best coaches in the sport, but if you're questioning Sherrone Moore, I don't think that's a discussion you want to have right now. Both sides of the rivalry, great trench play. People are questioning Ohio State's offensive line this past season. Now, they're dinged up, of course, but you just had two dudes drafted in the first round from Ohio State on the offensive line. So, yeah, they can hold serve in the trenches. I'm telling you, man, looking to the future, both of these operations have what it takes to win at the highest level. Like you talk about what it would take to ace a job interview, resume, experience, interview well. That's Ohio State and Michigan based on what it's going to take to win in the future of college football. In the last 2 years, I know it's been a bit weird probably for both sides of the rivalry because if you're Michigan, you beat Ohio State and they win a national championship. And then the year before, Michigan, they win the national championship. We said it right after the national championship game. We got back to the hotel, did our full live show for you. And I really think that both of these teams are almost like it's like a weird gym rivalry, right? Like they hate each other into greatness. You got two of these just like gym rivals going at it at your 24-hour fitness, and you look up after they hate each other so much, you look up, you're both yoked. Like that's Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan wins a national championship. Ohio State then has a $20 million roster, goes to the portal, gets Will Howard, gets Caleb Downs, gets Quinshon Judkins. Do we think that's coincidental? I don't think it's coincidental. And then Ohio State was a national championship this past year. Michigan goes out and flips Bryce Underwood from LSU, the number one player in America. Not number one quarterback, number one player in America this past cycle. Is that coincidental? I don't think so. Now, could you say, well, JD, they just have a high bar internally and they want to go win national championships regardless of Michigan or regardless of Ohio State? It's probably true. But I don't think your gym rival lifting more than you, in that specific metaphor, hurts what they've done either. I don't think that wasn't in any way, shape, or form like a motivating factor from what I can gather. So we talk about the future of this rivalry. I said on a previous live show, I think every single year this will have Big Ten title implications. I think it'll have college football playoff implications. I think we'll see these teams play, or at least have the chance to play at least, more than once a year. Because the Big Ten no longer having divisions, they could play for a Big Ten title 2 weeks in a row from the last game of the season, the regular season, to them playing in Indy. You could see them play in the college football playoff if the seeding works out in a certain way. But I don't think that either side of this rivalry is going to just be dominated by one side or the other. Now, if you're a fan of Ohio State or a fan of Michigan, you probably feel differently. But I really believe with how talented both rosters are going to be, Michigan upping their game on the recruiting trail, Ohio State not dropping their game on the recruiting trail. I think that it'll be a classic back and forth here for the next couple of years. And again, in the same way, going to elevate both sides of this thing. So you look to the future of this rivalry, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both sides get a national championship, one apiece in the next 5 years. I really wouldn't. Like if Ohio State is who they think they are with Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith still there, and that defense with Caleb Downs, CJ Hicks, Sonny Styles, like what's stopping them from winning a national championship? Ryan Day just felt how it feels to go get it done one time. You don't think that muscle memory factors in? Those resources they had from the year before? You think Ohio State's powers that be are giving less to Ohio State to go win another national championship? Michigan very clearly, that Larry Ellison money, the Dave Portnoy money, you think if they have success, they're giving less to go win at the highest level? I don't think so. Like both of these fan bases, it's funny. They're like the private trainer dad of college football. Like, you know what I'm talking about. There's always that dad that exists, whether it be Little League Baseball, whether it be football or whatever it is, that is willing to throw money at the problem to carry their kid into relevance. Now, both of these schools, both of these brands have enough pride internally to where it doesn't totally have to be that way. But in NIL, like you can carry your team into relevance. So that's why you see Michigan now, after a down year, say, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this whole just make a bowl game, win a bowl game thing like we expect. College football playoffs, national championships. Go get the top quarterback. Go get a top 10 class. Ohio State, same deal. No, we're not. No. We're not doing this anymore where we don't win national championships. After Michigan just won one last year, not playing that game with you, brother. We're not. Go get Will Howard. Go get Caleb Downs. Don't care what it costs. Let's go win a national championship. That's where both these teams are at right now. And for us as college football fans, if you don't have a dog in the fight like myself, you just get to enjoy all of it. You just get to watch one of the best, if not the best rivalry in college football play out at a very top-tier fashion. And that's good for the sport. People say things like, oh, it's good for the sport to have good TV ratings. It's good for the sport to have, X, Y, and Z when it comes to NIL or regulations around the portal. I don't disagree with those necessarily. But a lot of those things I think are, they have some variability to them. I don't think it's a thing that requires any variables to have a Michigan-Ohio State rivalry with as high of stakes as possible, with both teams as nationally relevant as possible. That's good for the sport from where I'm sitting, because what that brings is excitement. It brings juice. It brings, I think, a lot of people that are maybe traditional fans that enjoy the Ohio State-Michigan game, meaning having a lot. It brings them even more into the fold than maybe they were before as college football changes with the portal and 12-team playoff. So all I'm trying to say here is enjoy this, because we're entering into, again, what I believe is going to be even more so a golden era of this rivalry than we've even gotten in the last couple of years, because it's had high stakes the last couple of years. It's been awesome, but the 12-team playoff and beyond, this rivalry, not only is it not going anywhere, I think it's going to get even more juice as we progress here. So we'll enjoy it. We'll talk about it. And obviously, with us getting to do this for a job, which is hilarious, we will absolutely make the most of it. So the transfer portal has closed up shop. Still a few names that are out there. We'll talk about them as we progress throughout the rest of this spring, and those players end up committing. But the winter cycle, for the most part, is where you really make your strides, where you can turn over your roster, go get all these high-value guys, and change your win total in Vegas from one to the other. The spring portal cycle is a little bit more of what I would call a mortal cycle. Not all these Super Saiyans running around, not a bunch of just all-American guys, just in the portal up there for the taking. The spring portal cycle is more so, can you get some spare tires? Can you build some depth? Well, a couple of these teams, by nature of the pieces they got, they didn't just go get spare tires. They went out and actually souped up the engine. Like, I think you look at a couple of these additions we're about to mention right now, these portal additions to me will give these teams a higher ceiling because of the potential impact they have, changing the game. True to the lower third you're seeing there if you're watching live on YouTube. But let's go to Penn State for this first edition. Hand up, I thought Trevor Pena would see Miami as a potential destination, see Xavier Restrepo and what he did there a year ago and say, yeah, I can make that work. But I have to think, I like to imagine Drew Aller's reaction when he saw the On3 Twitter graphic of Trevor Pena committing to Penn State. I think he probably just fell to his knees, man. He said, the devil is a lie. Okay, hey, they counted me out. We had my receivers doing 4 quarters of cardio in the Orange Bowl. Tyler Warren goes to the league, but God said no. Trevor Pena headed to Happy Valley. That's huge because it just gives you someone that's reliable in the slot. Like someone who can be a high-volume guy, had north of 80 catches last year at Syracuse, real production. Not just traits. Traits are nice. I love traits, but like real production now in that receiver room with the Trevor Pena, instantly, to me, he becomes your number one guy, and instantly you have someone, if you're Drew Aller, that you can actually force-feed the football to and have a high impact on the actual game itself. So Trevor Pena to Penn State, this is one to me that could be a put-you-over-the-top kind of move for that offense in Happy Valley because they've been begging for a big-time receiver. Trevor Pena could maybe play his way into that from where I'm standing. Oklahoma, we talked about it when it happened. Cal running back, Jaden Ott, had a lot of production the year before. A little bit dinged up this past season, but he's going to now be playing his college football in Norman. The way I look at this, the math just got harder defending Oklahoma. Because you think about John Mateer, okay, yeah, does some stuff downfield, obviously, plus we can do with his legs. Giovanni Gibson, when he gets healthy, he's a tremendous threat for them all spring long. He was, at least until he got dinged up. Deion Burks, when he's healthy, he's a dog for you. You go down the list here, you're like, man, there's a lot of dudes to defend here in the pass game themselves, plus John Mateer with his legs. Now you add in a guy like Jaden Ott and all his production he had at Cal a year ago, plus you could throw him the football. The math is tough. The to-do list to defend Oklahoma as an offense just keeps on getting longer to the point where if you're a defense, like I don't know how you check all the boxes. And at least I don't know how you check all the boxes consistently, at least. So in terms of how dynamic they can be, no further questions, Your Honor. No, I mean, they are going to have all the playmakers to get it done in Ben Arbuckle's offense. The question then becomes, are you able to scheme around, or is your offensive line good enough to maximize those playmakers? But Jade not giving them someone who's like real deal dude in that running back room, no further questions about what the Oklahoma offense can be, and you already knew we were high on them in 2025 to begin with John Mateer on the show. Now, Bo Atkinson is an edge defender transferring from North Carolina to Ohio State, and in the transfer portal, in general, like getting trench players, offensive line, defensive line, it's kind of like Chick-fil-A sauce. Can never have too much of it. Like you're never saying, no, actually only grab 3 Chick-fil-A sauce. You say, give me as many Chick-fil-A sauces as you possibly can because we're going to find some use for it. Whether it lives in the fridge, whether I put it on the sandwich, we're going to find some use for it. That's Bo Atkinson in this defense for Ohio State. Yeah, you got C.J. Hicks. You got Sonny Styles. You got another edge who's got he's got real, again, proven production from North Carolina. A dude who's a freak show off the edge, high motor guy. You go look at his highlights. He's out here sacking Virginia's quarterback while being blocked with one arm and bringing the quarterback down with the other. Like, yeah, we can use that. We can use more push up front on the defensive side. So I love what he brings to the table there. Also, it's worth noting, this is kind of how you win in modern college football or just in football in general, right? Like when Ohio State came alive last year in the college football playoff, yeah, Will Howard found his groove. Yeah, we all realized Jeremiah Smith was probably developed in a lab and he started playing like it in that playoff race and they started feeding him the football. But what really flipped the switch for Ohio State was you had Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau on that front seven start eating greedy. So you pair Bo Atkinson with the CJ Hicks, I think that front seven is going to be once again in a good spot. And you help out that front seven, that secondary is going to be able to hold it down more than likely. So Ohio State, the rich getting richer. Larry Johnson has another piece on the edge for his defense. Steve Angeli headed to Syracuse. All right, now kind of like the Breaking Bad meme for those of y'all that have seen it, Jesse Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with this. Fran Brown cannot keep getting away with this. Goes and gets another quarterback who couldn't cut it at his other school, probably has got some revenge on his mind. Y'all, Steve Angeli is a good football player. And that's not me telling you that because I've gone to blueandgold.com and I've, read the practice reports and read how Steve Angeli was, at one point in time trending to start for Notre Dame. Like, you can actually go watch real college football games. Like, Steve Angeli walks in the Sun Bowl and gets buckets a year ago with Sam Hartman on the sideline. Steve Angeli walks in and saves Notre Dame's season against Penn State with that drive in the Orange Bowl. Like, Steve Angeli can play football. Now, it didn't work out at Notre Dame. Doesn't mean Steve Angeli can't still sling it. It's also worth noting Fran Brown, when we had him on the show and just different interviews he's done throughout the course of his time at Syracuse, he'll let you know, if he's taken a portal quarterback, he's done his homework. He's not just taking a flyer on Steve Angeli because he thinks he can maybe play and bring something out of him. He's like, no, I like the way Steve Angeli's wired. I like what he can do for us in our system. This is not some random move by Fran Brown. He went and calculated, got Steve Angeli, and I think that's worth noting. So Steve Angeli to Syracuse, Fran Brown may have his Kyle McCord 2.0 here in 2025. Now, one more player I want to mention, and this is probably up there with Jade Knott for me, of the most impactful get of this entire portal cycle. Keelan Marion, transferring from BYU to Miami. Keelan Marion is an All-American return specialist and pretty much a do-whatever-you-want-him-to-do in the offense kind of player. Listed as a receiver, could get him the ball on jet sweeps, put him out wide, put him in the slot. This is a classic got-what-you-need kind of addition for Shannon Dawson in that offense under Mario Cristobal. What do you need? Proven production, experience, explosiveness. That is Keelan Marion. That is what he brings to the table. You feel good about Malachi Toney. You feel good about JoJo Trader. You feel good about CJ Daniels probably. But to get a guy who's going now in his 5th year of college football, I love the way that he helps the offense with his skill set. I also love the way that you just add an OG to that receiver room. Like, he's going to, I have to imagine now, have the ability to get after practice with Malachi Toney and say, hey, young buck, this is how we practice. This is what we do when it comes to watching film. This is what we do on the jugs machine. This is what we do when it comes to getting right before practice. All those things. I love that veteran presence for that room, and I've said many times now, I love the juice it brings to that offense because I think right away you got some real pop there. Some real pop, and Keelan Marion on a safety. 11 times out of 10 is a win for Keelan Marion. 11 times out of 10, a win for Miami. And a win for Miami in the pass game would obviously equate to a big win for Carson Beck and what he could be for them in 2025. So the portal, again, still sort of finding its resting place, but it is closed when it comes to names being entered in there. But those are the big additions that I think could actually soup up some of those teams when it comes to their win total, and will definitely change, I think, what they can be here in 2025, at least from a potential perspective. So I put the call to action on my Twitter page. Again, JD Piquel, Instagram, Twitter, where you can find me. We're also on TikTok if that's your thing. I put out the call to action. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. Spring has essentially wrapped up for most places. What's on your mind? What are you stressed about? Let's have some college football therapy. 629-888-3931. Quinn hit us up. Wants to talk a little Miami Hurricanes and how he's feeling about what they bring back or don't bring back in that receiver room.
What's up, JD? This is Quinn. I'm a fan of the Miami Hurricanes. The one thing that I'm most stressed about with the conclusion of spring for the Miami season is the lack of experience on the offensive side for our weapons. I mean, we have our top 4 guys leaving, going to the NFL, and there's no doubt we don't have talent in Malachi Toney, JoJo Trader, CJ Daniels. He has some potential for us, but I'm kind of worried with the lack of experience we have for Carson Beck after the type of season Carson Beck had with the Georgia wide receivers. So that's one thing I'm obsessed about for this upcoming season for Miami.
Quinn, it's a fair point. It's a very fair point. And I had a pastor say this. Your feelings, while they're not all the time reliable, they're always real. So, Quinn, how you feel about this? It's real. You lost a lot with no Restrepo, no more Jacoby George. Isaiah Horton transfers to Bama. And you bring in a Carson Beck, and you're like, this is awesome. We got a quarterback to spin it, but I mean, who's he throwing to? I love Malachi Toney. I love Josiah Trader, but we even had Mario Cristobal on the show. Go check out that interview if you haven't already. We had him on the show, and we asked him, hey, who excites you about that receiver group? And we mentioned those young bucks, and he said, those guys you just mentioned excite me, but we got to see them actually do it in the game. I'm not going to crown them right now before we actually have them play some meaningful football. Now, Josiah Trader played a little bit as a freshman, but they expect a lot from him here in 2025. I've been told he's an absolute guy, so take of that as you will. What I will say, Quinn, is I really appreciate the awareness from Mario Cristobal and everyone at Miami to say, yeah, we probably got to go to the portal. Yeah, we probably got to make sure we pack this suitcase here with a little bit more content. So you go get a CJ Daniels from LSU. Before LSU, CJ Daniels was a 1,000-yard receiver at Liberty with Caden Salter. So it went how it went at LSU, but that's a guy who's got a lot of production to his name. And then we mentioned in this last segment, you went out and got Keelan Marion, which I absolutely love because it's never a good idea to just assume that you've packed enough before heading somewhere. And you'll know what I mean. We've all done this. You just kind of throw some things in a duffel bag. You got a couple pairs of jeans, maybe a t-shirt, a toothbrush, and you show up and it's like, shoot, third day, you're already on your third pair of shorts, and you've already used your socks that you've had for the entire trip, and you're in trouble. Like, you probably could have been okay with Malachi Toney and Josiah Trader, but you brought in Carson Beck not just to be okay and maintain. You brought in Carson Beck to elevate. And so to go to the portal, to get some pieces to go with him, okay, awesome. It's better to have it and not need it. It's better to have a C.J. Daniels and not need him to have 1,000 yards because of what Toney is and Josiah Trader is and what Shannon Dawson designs his offense to be, than to be out there and, entering into the first week of November and say, not only are we dinged up at receiver, we don't have a ton of high-end talent. Like, we brought in Carson Beck, paid him what we paid him, and now we're sitting here being a 7-8 win football team, which is no longer okay at Miami. I do think that it's worth unpacking just the reality of what Cam Ward was for you last year. This is not a Cam Ward segment, but when you look at what he was a season ago, as good as that wide receiver talent was, Cam Ward was really elite at elevating everyone's play. Xavier Restrepo, good receiver, better with Cam Ward. Jacoby George, same thing. And so I think your carriage is tied to your lead horses, is what I'm trying to say. Carson Beck and Shannon Dawson. Yeah, Carson Beck, what happened last year at Georgia wasn't awesome. It's not great to have your receiving core lead America in drops, but at Miami now, we are going to need you to be able to overcome some of the inexperiences we have in this room. We are going to need you to be the guy that we point to here in the fourth quarter and say, go win us a game, 11. Go get it done for us. Because that's what we brought you here to do. We brought you here to, honestly, revitalize, or not revitalize, but continue the upward trajectory of Miami football. And you came here to do that, but also to revitalize your career and your draft stock. You want to know how to revamp your draft stock? Go somewhere else and show them you weren't the problem. Go somewhere else and be the solution with some new receivers. In an offense where a dude who's now the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft and Cam Ward thrived in. Like, I also think when you talk about Shannon Dawson, if he is who you believe he is, who he was a year ago, he's going to find a way to make this work. That's not saying the talent isn't good enough to get it done, but great coordinators, they get dudes open. If they get dudes open, they score points. Even when Tyler Van Dyke was there was a couple of games where you say, okay, Miami's got some juice. And then last year with Cam Ward, juice was all the way flowing when it came to what they were offensively. So last thought I have on this is, as much as the receiver room will have a large part in Miami's success in 25, there is no world that exists where Miami has a great year and Carson Beck is average. Like, Carson Beck, you are the show, brother. There is no headline. There's no other headliners. There's no opening acts. It is you. We are going to sell as many tickets as you allow us to sell by the performance that you put on. Like, Carson Beck's not going to go out there and go 20 touchdowns, 10 picks, and Miami wins 11 games and wins the ACC. Not going to happen. It's just not. And that's not dunking on Miami. That's just the way this whole thing is structured. Nobody's surprised by that. That's what Carson Beck came here to do. That's what Mario Cristobal brought him here to do. So I'm really excited to watch how it all unfolds. I understand the concern around the receiver room. My take is, though, I think it's good enough. I think it's good enough to where if Carson Beck is who you think he is and who you brought him in to be, and Shannon Dawson is who you think he is, who he was last year, those pieces I think are good enough to just take you from here up to here. And up to here is what you expect now at Miami, which is in itself a luxury. So, Quinn, thanks for calling. But we'll see how this thing looks in the fall. But my hope would still be in Carson Beck and Shannon Dawson, even with the inexperience at the wide receiver position. Now, our guy from Atlanta, Griff, wants to talk a little about his Auburn Tigers.
Yo, JD, it's Griff from Atlanta. Just want to quick question about what you think about the Auburn Tigers. I want to know what you think about Jackson Arnold and his potential being a Tiger, and what do you think Eric Singleton's going to be able to produce from the wideout? Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Griff, good stuff. Good juice, too, from Griff to start there. I like the greeting from Griff. Appreciate you from Atlanta, A-Town down. So, there's the obvious that Griff is speaking to. There's a lot of potential with Jackson Arnold. 5-star guy. A lot of juice when he was going to be the starter last year at Oklahoma. A lot of expectations. Supposed to be the next great one. Things don't work out. Some part, I would have to imagine, is on Jackson Arnold. Some part is on what Oklahoma wasn't up front. But here's my thing with Jackson Arnold. As much as I enjoy the potential that he brings, we're going into his third year of college football. Need to see something. Like what are you going to be for me right now? His potential is to be a first-round draft pick. That's what he was as a prospect, right? That was his potential. Right now, I don't really care about potential. It's kind of like, your first date with someone. First dates are awesome, dude. First dates are fun, but what is a first date? A jumping off point. You start to play out your entire future. I did it with my wife. I could see a life with her. I could see us, down the road having a kid and a house and a yard and a dog and all those things. But after the first date, none of those things exist. It's just potential. You hope you can get there. But, Jackson Arnold right now, it's just potential. Like, who are you when things get real? Because things are going to get real this year for Oklahoma. Or for Auburn, excuse me. Against Oklahoma, I guess is a good way to say it. Things got real last year at Oklahoma. Who are you when it's no longer the first date, but we're going home for the holidays, right? Like, you can't run, you can't hide when you're, face-to-face with someone's parents. That's when things get real. But you know what I'll say is, honestly, whenever a significant other comes home with a family member, whether it be your cousin brings a girlfriend home or your sister brings a boyfriend home, whatever it is, usually the significant others that shine in those moments, they just say the right thing, dude. They just say that they just play their part, say the right thing, do the right thing. I've very seldom gone to a Thanksgiving or a Christmas where someone brings their boyfriend or girlfriend and been like, man, that person was the life of the party. They were awesome. No, you're not there to be the life of the party. Jackson Arnold, you're going to Auburn. You're not there to be the life of the party. You're there to make it all go. Get it to Cam Coleman. Get it to Eric Singleton. If you can be the 5-star that you were at a high school this upcoming season for Auburn, amazing. Amazing. We'll take it. More power to you. But quite frankly, I would settle for like 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. I think that'll get it done. Now, I'm not saying you can be pedestrian. I'm not saying you can go out there and be a game manager, but I am saying in this offense, you make the right decision. You don't turn it over. You don't throw 10 picks, 9 picks. We should win a lot of football games. Now, a lot of that's going to be on the defense. A lot of that's going to be on, can the skill players be what you expect them to be? But I think if that's the bet you're making, as we sit here in the month of April, I'm cool with that. I'm more than cool with that. Like Eric Singleton, which is another person that Griff mentioned here, another player you mentioned on his phone call. He's a big reason why I think Jackson Arnold can just kind of do the right thing and be okay. Go to the right place to football and be okay. What he brings to the table at Auburn, to me, he's kind of like the mac and cheese of this offense. He's great on his own. He's awesome on his own, but you add him to a full array of a meal, everything's better. Like y'all know this, not to stick with the holiday theme here, but you go to someone's Thanksgiving and they got a good mac and cheese. The turkey tastes better. Stuffing tastes better. I mean, that Martinelli's just got a little more crispness to it. Like just Eric Singleton, the way they're going to move him around this offense, he's going to be awesome on his own with his production. But the way he's going to get Cam Coleman open, the way he's going to get Malcolm Simmons open, the way you're going to be able to use him, I'd have to even believe in the run game should it come to that. A little jet sweep action. Eric Singleton can do that for you and kind of mess with the eyes of the defense. So all that's to say now, Jackson Arnold, potential is great. I'm here for that. But you have so much around you. I don't need you to live into your potential right now. I need you to say the right thing, play your role, do the right thing, don't turn the football over, and we're in a different place. Like, I don't mean to relitigate last year because Auburn fans got to be annoyed with this, but how many games did you have that felt like you just kind of gave away, but you were the better team? Arkansas, Cal, Missouri. I don't know if you're the better team or not, but you were the better team on that day before you gave it away. Oklahoma. That's 4 right there. That turnovers, quite frankly, were your undoing. Jackson Arnold, get the ball to the right guys and not the other team. We're going to be okay, dude. Because I think your expectation, if you're aiming for like that sweet spot, to me, I've said this many times, to me it's 8 wins. Anything more is great. 7 would be kind of underwhelming. 8 wins is the sweet spot to where next year you say, well, we won 8 last year. 10's not that big of a jump if we're going to keep on trending the right direction. We win 10 games. In the SEC, we should be a playoff team, right? Now, is that with Jackson Arnold? Is that with Deuce Knight? I don't know. But I'm saying 8 this year, to me, makes 10 wins the following year and the playoff the following year less of a dream and a vision, more so a goal. Because at that point, it's more attainable, and goals are attainable. So, Griff, I hear you, brother. Potential is there for Jackson Arnold. If he can even just do the right thing, just get into a range of that potential, Auburn's going to have a lot to be excited about here in 2025. Next up, last voicemail from our guy Nathan wants to talk a little about the Bayou Bengals.
What's up, y'all? My name is Nathan, and I wanted to talk today as an LSU fan about how much faith can we really have in Brian Kelly. We know this roster is poised for a national championship run, but Brian Kelly is the one thing in the back of my mind as an LSU fan that gives me hesitance about it. And I just want to know your thoughts. Appreciate you. Thank you. Keep putting out the great content.
Nathan, appreciate you calling in again. 629-888-3931. Going over some of the things that y'all are just feeling a little stressed about. Going to let you lie down on the couch for a second, stare up at the ceiling, talk about your feelings, talk about your college football team. And Nathan, we appreciate you bringing that to the table, man. I think what you're saying is fair to a degree because like Brian Kelly, easy guy to blame in some sense, like lost the last 3 openers, which if you're a college football fan or you're an LSU fan, you say, well, why aren't we ready to play week 1? Because we do these great things the rest of the year. Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman Trophy, but we can't beat Florida State the first game of the season. Got Malik Neighbors slipping out of his break for an interception, and we got our first-round pick not ready to rock and roll. Is that on Malik Neighbors or is that on Brian Kelly? And Brian Kelly, too, I'm a fan of his, quite frankly. I appreciate what he is for college football and what he's done for us on this show. But, I mean, he's not the most endearing person in the world when people watch him on a press conference or people watch his opening statement with LSU at the basketball game and he's got the Southern accent, whatever. My take on this, though, is Brian Kelly's, while I see all the reasons for blame, he's actually the reason why I'd be optimistic about LSU. Because as much as you talk about what LSU has not done the last couple of years, are we sure it's on Brian Kelly? You say, JD, he's the head coach. Everything's on Brian Kelly. Yeah, I hear you. Are we sure it couldn't have been worse, though, if Brian Kelly doesn't bring in Jaden Daniels and Mike Denbrock? Like how bad that defense was. Is it on Brian Kelly? Sure. I mean, it's also on Brian Kelly to have the offense he had. That was explosive as all get out. Also, who in the SEC, outside of Kirby Smart, do you think could have done more with LSU than Brian Kelly this past couple of years? Made the SEC title game his first year as the head coach out there. You say Kalen DeBoer? Yeah, maybe so. I hear the idea there. I hear the thought process there. I don't think it's just a clear Kalen DeBoer over Brian Kelly situation in that regard, in that discussion at least. When Brian Kelly got to LSU, what we said was you fixed the problem, but you still have to let it run a little bit. Like this is whenever you get like your computer fixed or your pipes fixed or whatever it is, what do people tell you? Turn it off, turn it on, it's fixed, now let it run. Brian Kelly comes to LSU. The problem in itself should be fixed because of what he brings to the table. Dude's coached, a million football games and won the majority of them. Like one of the best winning percentages, I'd have to believe, relative to the games coached in college football. The problem in itself should be fixed. You brought in the winning culture as a head coach. Let it run. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for the entire system, the entire organization to acclimate to his way of doing things. Now going into year 4, it should be fixed. And so you speak to, well, the roster should be ready-made to make a national title run. A lot of that, hear me clearly, credit Austin Thomas. GM for LSU, does everything for LSU. I mean, we have a whole segment on Austin Thomas on this channel, so go check that out. Credit Austin Thomas. Also credit Brian Kelly. Also credit what he's done to get LSU in a position right now to be poised to go make a run at a national championship, an SEC championship. All that's in place. Like I think this is not me knocking Nathan by any stretch of the imagination. I think just us as college football fans, we always we kind of exist in this frame of mind. We usually think our team and our roster should be doing better than they already are. It's kind of like that, the parent that thinks their kid should be in a higher reading group. It's like, yeah, maybe so, but also maybe the teacher is the reason why they're doing as well as they are. Maybe you got a D+ student who's got a B- because they're teaching them a certain way and elevating their whole level of, acumen in this whole game. Maybe that's what's going on here. I'm not telling you that LSU was a D- situation, but I am saying I think it could have been a lot worse without Brian Kelly. So Nathan, I hear you, but the thing that I would encourage you with is that Brian Kelly, I think, is a big reason why I'm optimistic for LSU in 2025. Now, they got to put it together. He has not won a national championship. If he does it this year, though, in Baton Rouge, get ready for the floodgates to open up. Because at that point, you validate your process. You validate what Brian Kelly has done at LSU, and you set the trajectory and say, here's where we are right now. We're just getting started. Plus the resources, plus the buy-in from the powers that be at LSU to play ball in the NIL front. And, LSU at that point, I think, would be cooking with, gas feels like a kind word to use there, but they be cooking with gas, and it'd be good vibes out there in Tiger Country. So appreciate y'all calling in again, 629-888-3931. Give us a call, and just give us your stress points here ahead of 2025. We'll talk it out. We'll do it together, and we'll face this thing that is the runway from now until week 0 of the college football season, and we'll do it together. So appreciate y'all being dialed in. Spring practice about wrapped up for most places across the country, but y'all, spring propaganda not wrapped up just yet. And Oregon had their spring game this past Saturday. We'll have a reaction for you for that actual game itself on this channel, so another reason to be subscribed. But Dante Moore, this is not from the spring game, but, dude, he's out here throwing absolute lasers during Oregon's spring scrimmage they had. This is not the spring game, but just check this out. Again, not the spring game, but a game being played in Austin, 11-on-11. Laser show. 50 yards in the air, 5 yards deep in the end zone, out to the 45-yard line. Gary Bryant, year 10. Give me that. Just look at the RPMs on the ball, first of all. Gary Bryant creating separation. It's got to feel good for Oregon, dude. Yet again, you got another guy who can sling the pill, who can deal the pill like a shady pharmacist, a la Dylan Gabriel, a la Bo Nix. Dante Moore's next up. And I said if you're an Oregon fan, it feels good. Maybe I'm being generous there. It might just be kind of relief because you've sort of come to expect having great quarterback play, with those last two names I mentioned being Heisman finalist caliber quarterbacks. This is, it's like being rich and you got a Ferrari for your 16th birthday, for your 18th birthday. You're like, okay, please Mercedes. Awesome. Yes, Mercedes is in the building. It is by nature of A1 Dante Moore. Now, as talented as Dante Moore is, and that clip just kind of is a brief little peek into what I believe he's done all spring long. Dante Moore, I think, has an edge on both Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, in the sense that Dante Moore's had a whole year now to digest this playbook and seen a Heisman-level finalist quarterback in Dylan Gabriel executed at a very, very high level throughout the entirety of a college football season. Like Bo Nix, his first year he was there, it was with Kenny Dillingham as the OC. And then he gets the playbook that I'm sure that following spring with Will Stein has success, but he didn't have a full year to digest it and see someone else do it. Dylan Gabriel, same deal. He transfers in, spring practice, hits the ground running. In fall camp, he's rolling. Play games in the fall, and they're winning games. They go undefeated. But remember now, early on in the month of September, what was everyone saying? Hey, are we sure Oregon's not fraudulent? Hey, Oregon, they're playing it close with Boise State. Are we sure about Oregon? Dylan Gabriel, are we sure that he's the guy? He ended up being the guy. I told you, he goes to New York City to go at least see the Heisman Trophy be handed out. My point in all this is I think that matters a lot for Dante Moore. I really do. We showed you that clip. Dante Moore is not going to be asked to make a lot of NFL Josh Allen caliber throws here. I think he probably can make throws like that if that's what you ask him to do based on what he was as a recruit, but that's not what you're going to ask him to do. What you're going to ask him to do is hit the right buttons. It's not so much an overall thing as much as it is, do you know where to go with the football thing, to speak in video game terms. He knows all the controls. He knows where the ball needs to go. And so people are going to look at that clip that we just played to the top and say, well, yeah, but look how open he is. Oh, hey, anybody can make that throw. First of all, no, not everybody can make that throw, 50 yards in the air in stride. No, that's not a thing. Second of all, isn't that kind of what Will Stein has done his entire time at Oregon? Doesn't he pretty much dial up open plays for the quarterback? You know where to go with the football. You score points. That's what Oregon has done the entirety of their time under Dan Lanning. And so now as you look to the future, the reason why I'm also so confident in Dante Moore outside of that eye candy of a throw you just saw, Oregon knows quarterbacks. Dan Lanning knows quarterbacks based on his track record, and they love Dante Moore. I'm assuming based on the clues in which he was brought to Oregon. Because think about it this way. They recruited him twice and then paid him to sit a year. You know how much you got to be in on a quarterback to pay them, I have to believe, a pretty good sum of money to watch somebody else play quarterback while you're paying the starting quarterback as well on Dylan Gabriel? You got to like Dante Moore. And so I would get used to this if I'm an Oregon fan, is the bottom line. I would get used to seeing Dante Moore deal darts. We're in the studio earlier today. Caden Smith and I talking before the show. And Cato's like, you know what, man? I wish you could bet someone being a Heisman finalist because right now I'd bet Dante Moore. And y'all, to be real, I would ask Cato whatever he's putting down on that, and I would say, hey, go ahead and lump me into that. Let's both go in on Dante Moore being a Heisman finalist, because I think he's going to be that good, and I think Oregon, given their track record, given the system, given the weapons, given Will Stein, the offense, they will once again, I believe, be that good. And does that throw me in a whole lot? Not necessarily, but I don't think it's the last time you'll see a throw like that from Dante Moore. The next time you see it, he will not be wearing a red non-contact jersey. It'll be games that count. So Dante Moore, going to be a dude. Surprise, surprise, Oregon is turning into a quarterback destination. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, Dylan Raiola. Now, Nebraska, they didn't have a spring game, but in regards to spring propaganda, they gave us some good stuff from the Husker games. Check out this clip. Dylan Raiola, this is the most spring propaganda clip you'll see on this show. Dylan Raiola, 50 yards, splash. Banks open, don't care. Don't need it. We're going to go ahead and go nothing but net. A little silly with your Corey Barney. Yeah, we're not out here in pads. No rush. 50 yards and just nothing but net to me is impressive in and of itself. This is hilarious. This is the most, again, I told you before, this is the most spring propaganda clip of spring propagandas that we will show on this show, which is saying something for us. We'll unpack that throw. We'll unpack what it means right now. Before we do that, told y'all before the show started, we're presented by our friends over at Culver's. If you watched the draft, Andy and Ari, they were at the draft, bringing you just fire interviews from Matthew Golden to Maxwell Harrison. So go check this out on the On3 YouTube channel. But if you're a Nebraska fan, quick Google search suggests there is not one, not two, but three, probably 3+ I would have to imagine, Culver's in your drivable distance. Go ahead and lock in with Culver's, man. Born in Wisconsin, Culver's is the home of the legendary Butterburger, fresh frozen custard, and Wisconsin cheese curds. There's no better rep of America's Dairyland than that. So we had a great weekend this past weekend with Culver's at the draft with Andy and Ari. We appreciate Culver's bringing you the hard count today. Go ahead and lock in with them. A lot of good stuff. Get you a little fresh frozen custard to everyone out there in Lincoln as things hopefully now start to warm up just a little bit. So appreciate Culver's. Have to imagine though, there was a lot of Culver's being handed out in the Nebraska locker room after Dylan Raiola hit that one. It's a weak bridge, but we'll roll with it. The bottom line here is, while that clip is hilarious and it doesn't actually mean anything for what they're going to be in 2025, this clip is a lot like checking the forecast for the 4th of July as we sit here in April. It's just good to see. Like there's no guarantee it's going to be 91 degrees and no clouds in the sky the 4th of July, when that rolls around. But right now, just to see it on the forecast, yeah, I'm a fan of that. I'm going to never say no to that. I think there's also, as we look to what Dylan Raiola is going to be in 2025, I think that it's interesting to note where he is right now to where he is, or where he was a year ago, where Nebraska was a year ago. Because you felt good about the receiver room. You were optimistic about the offense, and for good reason. I mean, spring is for optimism, but right now there's a lot more, I think, certainty. Like Dana Holgorsen, the way they finished the year last year, that's what they're going to be, but even a more refined version of that offense. Like Dana Holgorsen speaks quarterback fluently, and he was working with what Nebraska was offensively a year ago and trying to mold it to his system. It's his system now. He knows how to elevate Dylan Gabriel. You just saw that towards the end of the year. Also the receiver room, the way they've elevated that position. That's pretty much been the story of spring ball for Nebraska. You keep checking in with Sean Callahan and Husker Online, and they just keep saying, hey, a lot of good stuff. Receiver room, though, taking up a few notches. We mentioned USC's defense a lot on this show in relation to how they've made lifestyle changes. When they brought in Danton Lynn as the DC, the thought was, okay, they are committing now to doing things the right way. It's no more trend. It's no more diet. It is like, no, this is who we are now. New Year's resolution, we play defense. I think the same thing can be said for Nebraska as an offense. We are going to throw the football. That's our lifestyle change. New Year's Eve, groceries are stocked up. You got chicken breast. You got kale. Got the running shoes on. Got the motivational quote as the screensaver for when that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. You're committing to this. You're all about it. Now the question is, can Dylan Raiola follow through and maximize all that? That's the big question I have. Because if it doesn't work, it's not that there's not other things around them to still salvage the season, but like you've, in a lot of ways, I think, committed to this new identity of Nebraska football in a certain sense. there's no U-turn you're hitting here in October and having success and still getting to where you want to get to. Like last year, you ended the bowl drought. This year, it's about going in and winning something. It's not about going to win a bowl game this year. It's about, hey, can we find ourselves in Indy? And to be real, you look at the schedule, it's a pretty reasonable schedule. Like you got Cincinnati, okay. Non-conference, got it. Akron, Houston Christian, got it. Like, the month of October for Nebraska, that should be 4 wins, up and down. I don't see Ohio State on the schedule. No Oregon on the schedule. Like, yeah, USC, okay, you get them at home. Got to come to Lincoln in November. All right, I'll take that. Like, there's a lot there for Nebraska to where I think it's very workable. I think it's very realistic to say if they do what they're supposed to do and they actually take that next step, if Dylan Raiola takes that next step, they could be that team that's in the hunt in November to go play for a Big Ten title. They could be this year's Indiana from what last year was for the Hoosiers. And that's not me knocking the Hoosiers, not me knocking Nebraska. It's just kind of the way this whole thing is shaken out. And so I spoke to taking the next step. People talk about quarterbacks their second year. Can they take the leap? Can they make that jump? And while I hear all that and I understand what they mean by that, I don't need a leap from Dylan Raiola. I need a hop. I don't need you to stick with this metaphor of changing your lifestyle and the fitness thing around what Nebraska is. I don't need Dylan Raiola and Nebraska as a passing game to transform into this bodybuilder Mr. Universe kind of situation. Can we just look good at the beach shirtless, dude? Can we just get a little bit better to where we're able to push the ball downfield and make teams consistently have to worry about that? Because a Matt Rule defense in year 3 should be in a good spot. Matt Rule run game in year 3 should be in a good spot. I think overall now, there's a lot to be excited about for Nebraska because of how they've continued to be Dylan Raiola committed. And in that way, man, there's a lot there that should and I think does get you excited. The 50-yard throw, nothing but net, yeah, it's hilarious to talk about as a reason for optimism, but if he's continuing to elevate and make throws like that during the fall and we can have a receiver on the other end there, that would be a good thing. You'd score more points, and more points would equate to more wins with how I think Nebraska's going to play defense here in 2025. So, yeah, it's spring propaganda. No, it doesn't mean anything. Are we excited about it, though? Absolutely. And we make no apologies for it. No apologies for it, man. Better believe that. Now, we're going to continue here with our perception versus reality series, the national perception around the Ohio State Buckeyes. Is it incorrect? Maybe not all the way, but I don't think it's all the way accurate either. We'll talk about it right now, but before we do that, one, make sure you are subscribed. Ohio State Buckeye fans, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. When you do that, it lets us know you want more Buckeye content. So thank you for that. Equally as important, Roback, bringing you the hard count today. Now, Ohio State fans, when you go to Roback.com, they have an official deal. Does Ohio State with Roback? Get yourself some nice Ohio State gear in Roback's apparel. Me personally, if I were an Ohio State fan, I'm looking at that red Ohio State hoodie with the script Ohio on it. It's fresh now. I'm just saying, I know things are warming up a little bit, but the Hezzy hoodie from Roback, never a bad climate to rock that thing in. So go ahead and lock in with them. Code JD on Roback.com, no periods. Those 2 letters, JD on Roback.com, for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all performance polos, shorts, the Ohio State Scripts Ohio hoodie. Lock in. Good stuff there. Code JD, Roback.com. Appreciate them and appreciate y'all. So the perception around Ohio State, it's a tricky one to unpack nationally because you look at the betting odds in Vegas, and Ohio State, right now at least, is favored to win the national championship. After having won the national championship last year. Those are the odds. I think the narrative in the conversation, though, is a little bit less optimistic because of how much Ohio State lost. Like, that's really all people are talking about, at least for me. Whenever I hear Ohio State mentioned, it's always, well, they did lose X amount of players. They did have 14 players drafted. They did lose Will Howard. They did lose their coordinators. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's not, an irresponsible thing to note, but like to me, it totally like discredits what Ohio State still has. Ohio State, did they lose 14 players to the draft? Yes. Is that a massive bummer? Absolutely. Do they still have nothing but top 5 classes on the roster that include the best player in college football next year in Jeremiah Smith? the best defensive player via the portal and Caleb Downs from a year ago. Sonny Styles, I told you, I think he'll be the best linebacker in college football next year. 5-star Julian Sand, the most accurate quarterback from his cycle. That included DJ Lagway. They still have a lot there. Like Ohio State, with what they lost, it's like a rich person getting robbed. Hey, we robbed your beach house. Which one? Hey, we broke into your safe and took everything you had there. Cool. We got 4 more safes just like it. Yeah, it hurts. It's not ideal to lose 14 players to the draft, and I don't mean to just be too casual about what Ohio State lost, but like there's a reason why they're still favored to win the national championship in Vegas, because people understand that roster is still stacked. People that actually pay attention to college football, like I know y'all do, still stacked. So we talk about what it's going to take to be successful in 2025. To me, the new coordinators is what you look at, but I have confidence in Brian Hartline because Ryan Day is an offensive guy, has been his entire career. There's some extra hands on the wheel should Brian Hartline need some extra help. Also, Brian Hartline for a full year now was game planning with Chip Kelly. So it's not like Brian Hartline is walking into this thing like wide-eyed and in over his head. He's ready for this job. I don't believe that he would have gotten it if Ryan Day didn't feel like that was the case. Now, I've been very critical of Matt Patricia. I've been very open about my questions about him as a DC at the college level without, having coached college football really ever, at least at a meaningful spot, definitely not at Ohio State. Even with my concerns, he can still point to his jewelry box and say, hey, look at these Super Bowl rings. I know football. And to that I'd say, Matt, you're absolutely right. I hear you. I have my reservations, but I hear you. And so I do think now to repeat, a lot of it will come down to Ryan Day and where he set the temperature at culturally. It's cliche. You probably roll your eyes at this. Say, JD, this is April talk. It's April talk, but guess what? It's also true. Like all of the great players and great organizations, they have a certain amount of don't give a fudge to them. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, I don't really care about the results quite as much. I don't let that impact them. If Ohio State is able to block out what last year was and say we don't care what last year was, to quote Caleb Downs, at some point you have to reset, and they do reset, and they have that same hunger and that same energy about themselves they had in the playoff, and they have it for the entirety of the season. Ohio State will be in Miami doing the same thing they did in Atlanta, which is hoist a national title trophy, having a good time, and we'll be back at the hotel after that thing at probably 3 a.m. or whatever time it is for Cato and I, shooting a reaction to Ohio State going back-to-back as national champs. It's not unreasonable to say that. It's not unreasonable, and a lot of it to me does come back to culture because talent, you see what Julian's saying is, you hope he's able to translate, to what he was as a prospect this year. I believe he'll be the starter for Ohio State, and that's a massive, massive part of this. But to me, the talent shouldn't hold Ohio State back from accomplishing what they want to accomplish. It'll be all about culture, Ryan Day, and keeping that pedal to the metal in 2025. So we're excited to unpack it. We're excited to react to all of it, as we always do on this show, college football year-round, but we appreciate y'all for being dialed in, and I'm excited to see what Ohio State is here in 2025. Now, before we get out of here, I want to let y'all know, for those of y'all that have already subscribed to the channel, there is a banger interview, not because of us, because of our interviewee, with Chad Bowden on the On3 YouTube channel, USC's GM. We sat down and chopped it up with him, and it was phenomenal stuff. Like a general manager in college football who has the juice of a linebacker coach. A couple of answers he gave to us where you're like, dog, I'm ready to play for USC right now. I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now. Whatever Lincoln Riley needs, man. Midnight Alley drill, deep cut for those of y'all that listen. We're ready to run it right now. I don't care what time of day it is. Don't care what pads I do or don't have on when it comes to running a drill. But with that being said, go check that out. Cato on the ones and twos. Myself, JD Piquel. We appreciate y'all being locked in. We appreciate y'all making this show what it is. From the voicemails to the tweets to the propaganda, all that, man, that y'all send our way. We're grateful for it. Grateful for y'all making this show what it is. Love y'all. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all.